Good beer.
Right, guys. I think this is about as good as it's gonna get.
Wow.
Okay.
Perfect.
All right. So, welcome to the Gag On This podcast. Check the episode description for the show and guest social media. Check out our website, gagonthispodcast.com. Email us, gagonthispodcast@gmail.com. Like and follow our Facebook page. Submit to our YouTube channel. Watch the recording and hear the episode 2 days before it is released. I am Big Nick. I am joined by the Italian stallion that is Danny D.
What?
Sharon and Rob are doing something far less fun. But in their place, we have the host of Comic Talk podcast. That is Jesse Rivera.
Woo.
Sorry, I had to cough there.
Thank you. I'm here.
Yeah.
I forgot.
Thank you for just being fucking silent. And we are joined by our guest, the hilarious Ivy Cordova.
Woo.
Who has a lovely face on, I will say.
Thank you. 4 hours, guys.
She just rolls out of bed looking like that.
She woke up like this.
That's what I get for showing off.
I do want to bring up something. I search your social media and stuff.
Yeah.
You were recently called a gorgeous cunt.
Yeah, I sure was. It just, that was a little strange to me. I mean, on one hand, like, I feel like I was arguing with some I think Blue Lives Matter lady on another comics thread, and generally I don't engage in such things like that, but the thing that the pandemic has brought out of us is boredom and time. So I went off, and she said I was gorgeous and a cunt, but that was followed up. I think that was like prefaced by her saying, you're really lucky you're pretty because you weren't very nice. I was like, oh my God, you think I'm pretty?
Yeah, well, back up. What
It's
did you say?
It's like, do you want to punch me or do you want to fuck me? Like,
Right.
Maybe both.
things. We can make one of them happen. So
Which one? I'm leaning towards the latter.
she can donkey punch me if she has the dexterity, but I feel like with 8 kids, maybe she doesn't have time.
Yeah, no. She shouldn't be on Facebook. She should be watching them. Like,
I think, and it was funny because I thought that lady's name sounded familiar. I'm not gonna out her or anything, but I thought she sounded familiar. And I messaged another comedian that's based out of the South Bay, and I was just like, "Is this the same person you screenshot like a couple weeks ago?" And he looked at it. He was like, "That's the one." So I guess there's one specific lady that goes around jumping on comics threads and just talking shit. I was just like, maybe wait until your kids are out of the house before you do shit like that.
right.
So
Nothing but time.
well, I mean, yeah.
We're showing? Nope. Okay, good.
You're good. You're good.
I've seen some threads just go insane recently. Like,
it's nuts. It's nuts. It's really.
I'm really shocked. Since I'm going to open my mouth and talk about it, I'm really shocked at how sensitive some of these male comics in
Sure.
Sacramento are, for sure. I'm not going to name names, but like
Jesse.
Hella sensitive.
So sensitive. Like, I swear to God, dude, can't you take a joke?
I
Are you
cried
fucking
just
kidding
now
me?
in the shower. I did.
I mean, at least you didn't cry on Facebook. I mean, no
No.
one. Like, why are you being a little bitch?
I think.
Anyways.
All
I think
because
for
of
me,
my mom.
it depends on who's actually saying it, because there are some people when they talk shit directly to me, like on threads, like I know that they're joking, but then
Yeah.
other people that really don't know me, that they come up and they say something like really like offensive. I'm like, back up. What the fuck was that?
Yeah.
Like,
no.
he's allowed to talk about me sucking dick because we know each other, but who the fuck are you? Like, it really, it's reading your audience. I mean, you guys are comics. Like, we know this, right? We know about reading our audience and knowing whether something is appropriate or not to jump in. And the problem with everybody, with the combination of boredom, time, missing engagement, and in some cases, alcoholism, come in and have no kind of filter. And I'm just like,
Right.
bro, like, do you want your kids, like, getting the screenshot saying, you know what your mom said the other night? Fucked up. You're going to need therapy. Like,
My kids are used to that. They should have already started therapy for sure.
oh my
For
God.
sure. Yeah. Don't send me the bills, kids. Don't send me the bills.
Jesse, Nick, do you guys have kids too, or no?
No, I have no kids. Thank
They
you.
make their bitches swallow.
Yeah. That is also considered safe sex in most cases.
Yeah.
Is it? No.
Not safe sex as in like STDs. I don't know what the fuck they got, but like at least you can't get pregnant that way.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was about to say, I was like, so you say I could raw dog a whore, and as long as she
No.
follows, I'm good?
You know what's super funny too is just like when there's people that talk about like I got a vasectomy, I can go raw dogging people. It's like no, that's not how this works. It's just you can.
Oh, that's not how it works?
No, you can get
Oh.
What's it?
baby,
To so many people, safe sex is just like not getting pregnant. Like that's
they just right.
that's all it is to them. Like
Right?
I'm like, you can get rid of a baby, but you can't get rid of herpes, my dude. Like,
I mean, we could all contact Magic Johnson and see how he got rid of the hip. I mean,
exactly. You ever seen that South Park episode of how to get, the cure for AIDS is money?
his money? Yeah, I swear to God, that's what it is. I
it's a
mean,
cure for everything.
He's been alive like for fucking forever.
he doesn't even have it anymore. He just took a test recently, and they say he no longer shows signs of having HIV. But like, honestly, I don't even think he had it to begin with. I think he just wanted to stop the NBA career. Like, well, who's gonna stay with a man? Like, his wife stayed with him. You can't buy me a big enough ring. Like, you cheat on me, okay? You have AIDS? I don't know.
That's for life.
I don't know. I mean, that's where I draw the line.
What a time to be alive, right?
Right?
I like
So
that.
the
You
whole,
cheat,
the
you
whole
cheat on
AIDS
me?
thing was a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I do think that. I mean, is there any other? Okay, you guys are guys. You know, has there been any other sports guy in any sport to say that he has HIV? He's HIV positive? Any other player that you guys could name off the top of your head besides Magic Johnson?
There was
No,
that
no.
diver.
What? Oh!
Oh, Greg
Louganis.
Louganis.
There you go.
A diver's not an athlete.
Although I'll go Greg. Although Greg is gay, so I mean that sort of
Okay.
explains it. But yeah, other than that, no.
No.
Okay.
Well, they practice safe sex, and Magic was just out doing
Oh,
everybody.
okay. I'm sure Charles Barkley was too, and Dennis Rodman. Out of all of them, I thought it would be Dennis Rodman.
Right, he
Yeah.
parties so hard, dude. Like Dennis Rodman. Does he? Do you guys do any of you guys know if he has like any memoirs out? Because I would want to read that shit.
I think he's got one.
One with Carmen Electra, right?
No, I don't remember. No, he did, there is one. There is at least one book. But the documentary about the Bulls that just came out had a lot of really good behind the scenes stuff. That like I thought I had pretty much read all that stuff, but no, there's a lot of good stuff just in that documentary.
What's the documentary? Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, they just put it on Netflix. It's called The Last Dance.
Okay, that's the one people are talking about.
Yeah,
See,
it was great.
My issue, and a lot of people have been messaging each other and like going on threads, looking for TV show recommendations. And as much as I want to partake in a lot of shows, the way my attention span works is a little different. Like it's hard for me to follow any show that has any sort of discernible plot. So like Game of Thrones, like that shit's right out. Like I couldn't name any of the characters. For me, I am strictly like intervention, hoarders.
Oh man, all
my
that reality.
life, like that's my
No.
shit.
Uh-huh.
And oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, I don't like any show that's more than a half hour long.
Yeah, like I don't have the capacity to follow along. Like, and I really tried. Like, that movie that won a bunch of awards, Parasite, right? I was really interested in watching that because I was like, okay, this is a movie that talks about, or that addresses at least the socioeconomic differences in Korean society, and it's sort of like a lesson in how people, in the class differences, right? And I was like, okay, this is something that, as a psych major, like somebody that's interested in social action, this is something that I should be concerned about. And I watch it, and like 5 minutes in, I'm just like, well, has Big Ed showered with that chick's dad again? Or like my mind is just wandering. Like I'm the worst. I'm the worst.
So if you like intervention and all that stuff, do you like 90 Day Fiance?
I have mixed feelings about that. Like I forced myself to watch all of the Filipino storylines because, there's always some hope deep inside of me that
they'll get knocked up by a white guy.
It's somebody different. Like it's just more like I'm hoping that maybe like some hipster barista multiple tattooed white girl is the one that's looking for like a nerdy Filipino professor, like a hot, like a hot Filipino dude, like my dad probably when he was younger, and I always hope it's some sort of like reverse situation where like the white person actually wants to go and meet a hot dude there. But it's always some fucking
creepy old man.
Some old fuck rescuing some teenager from a fucking village. And I'm just
like one of my callers got really bored and needed some real one-on-one action, and they just went to the Philippines and picked out like a 17-year-old.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh, I was like, damn it. I always watch thinking it's going to be something different, and it's not. I think probably the one Filipino storyline that I actually liked was this dude, Tariq, is a black dude, and he was with this chick named Hazel, and he was all, she's gorgeous, she got that Angelina Jolie, and then of course it flashes to a picture of her. I'm like, she just has fucking big lips. Like, shut the fuck up. Like, it's not realistic. That being said, I can't get away from that show. It's terrible. It's terrible. I'm so sorry.
It's just awkward to watch. Like when Big Ed was like in the pool with like his girl. Like, don't touch her. She's a child.
Some of these, like, I think one of the couples was like, I think a 19-year-old chick in a bar and some 59-year-old dude. And his thing was that he, like, I guess 30 years prior had brought over another woman. It's like, okay, bitch, we get it. You got to type.
She aged out.
It's just funny that he's just like, I wonder if she really loves me, if she's attached to the idea of having a child, signing a prenup. It's like, come on, this is mutually beneficial and you fucking both know it. So let's not pretend this is something that it's not. Just go have fun with your hot young wife, and like when you die in 5 years, she can still
She's not even that hot.
No, it's never the hot ones. I'm just like, I feel like people that see that have never actually seen real Filipinos.
No, probably not.
No. So if they did though, like I feel like it would fuck them up. Like if they watched, like if they turned on the TV and watched like TFC or like some game show where like girls are just like backing it up on the stage with some like shitty rapper, I feel like that would change their mindset. But they're not. The world's not ready for that conversation.
Yeah, one thing at a time. We're dealing with fucking Corona right now.
Oh my God.
Exactly.
Oh wow, way to bring down the conversation, Nick. Wow, thanks. Sorry.
I talked to him about his attitude before we started the show, but clearly
my attitude is fine. We are talking about 90 Day Fiance, which is great. Love After Lockup is amazing.
Oh my God, Boston Lockdown is my favorite show to masturbate to. I swear to God. So they had a marathon on the other day, and I was like, couldn't even keep up. Like I wore myself out. I had to take a nap. Yeah, because like I love a guy with a Boston accent, and like these guys are like bad guys too. They're criminal.
It's pretty hot. Accents are pretty hot. Like one of my in one of my jobs, I actually sort of do this in my present job too. I never knew that white people could have so many accents until I started doing like sales support for people that were based on the East Coast.
Oh yeah.
And like when I first started my career in Silicon Valley, like I had to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning because I was supporting like project managers and like people that were based in like New York, Boston. So like driving a car, like just sort of that kind of shit. I was just like,
your accent's horrible, but yes,
it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible.
Sounds like mine. Yeah. We should go do comedy on the East Coast together, Ivy. Let's go.
That would be a fucking amazing time.
Because you're single, right?
I am single.
We could have a lot of fucking fun. All right, Nick, I'll let you get back to your show.
I used to work in a call center, and you would talk to them for about a good 30 seconds before like you pulled up their account and saw where they were from. And one of the games that I used to play just to keep me from going bored was like I would try to guess like where they were calling from based on their accent, Yeah. And that was always a lot of fun.
Oh my God. I also worked at a call center at one point. I was an escalation manager. And so I was theoretically supposed to take the escalation call.
De-escalate the call.
Escalation, and I did that by humor. But what I ended up taking the calls was from people that blatantly did not want to talk to the people in our call centers that were located in Karachi, Pakistan, and Manila in the Philippines. So basically,
you want to talk to an American. They
called it the U.S. only call, which was like, so basically I talked to the most racist people on earth. And I remember one call got routed to me, and I pulled up his shit on Salesforce. And of course, I think 6 different people had like declined his call because he was a repeat caller, just impossible to please. And I was just like, hey, just I had to brace myself. And he was like, I only want to know one thing. Am I talking to somebody that's from Manila? And I was like, well, you want to get technical? Yes. And he just went off on me, and I was like, ooh, ooh, and then I let that simmer, and I was just like, you know what? Somebody else can take that.
Yeah.
I got things to do. Because that's where I was born. I was born in Manila, but if you talk to me on the phone, I don't really have any trace of any kind of discernible accent.
No,
Depending on what the situation is, sometimes a little bit of Hayward will come out. But for the most part, I'm pretty even keeled, especially in the Bay Area.
Is Hayward really like ghetto though? Like, does it have an accent?
It's so weird. Like I did not grow up thinking that it was super ghetto. And when I went to college, and then when I started my professional career, and I started talking to other people about what their growing up situations were like, I was like, oh, so not everybody had a go-to liquor store when they were like in high school. Like I really didn't think Hayward was that ghetto. But then I noticed too that something that I learned as I got older was, you guys know the concept of code switching?
No.
Oh yeah. Like when you go into a store and you switch the code so you can pay a cheaper price.
Oh, that would be amazing. I have done that, by the way, but no. So like as a person of color, code switching is when you sort of like alter not necessarily your personality, but your I guess your vocabulary, your demeanor. It changes, it switches depending on where you are. Like the person that you guys are talking to now, and the person that I may be in the office may be two completely different people. And the person
I do that all the time. Yeah.
The project manager, Ivy Cordova, is different from Ivy Cordova that's kicking it with the Filipino homies that never left the block in Hayward. And the reason that's so important, and I find myself like slipping into like sort of slang and jargon, and I noticed this too with my dad and his Filipino friends, depending on where they're from, because my dad talks a lot differently depending if he's talking to his college friends or if he's talking to the homies at the tennis court. And a lot of it too is so that we don't want to give the people that we're talking to the conception that we think that we're better than them. And so it's sort of code switching is sort of like a way to kind of stay within the audience, so to speak, that we're with. So of course now I think I'm almost 40, and I'm fortunate that the person that I am is the same person that walks into the office with a Dr. Dre mug. What up, bitch? But of course, when you're early on in your career and you're trying to be respectful, when before you realize that shit doesn't matter in the long run, that's what we all have to do.
So like, what do some people like look down on code switching, or is it kind of like an accepted thing? Because like some people might say like, oh, you're faking the funk, or you're playing the part, or
Probably. There's probably some people that like look down on it, and they have probably either never understood what it's like to have to sort of like change gears depending on where you're at, or if they're the kind of people that are just like, I'm gonna keep it real in every situation. All right, like good luck. Good luck saying that in Superior Court. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like the people you just described that you said like never left the block, right?
Yeah. Like, and it just like, God bless him. I love him. Like I actually went to get coffee with a girl that I had gone to high school with. And, we saw each other last year briefly at our high school reunion, but, we had kept in touch in social media, and we didn't really hang out that much when we were in high school. So this is basically like 3 hours of us just getting to know each other.
Oh, that's
and, and she, like, we talked about people that, were sort of like, they kind of hung out a lot when we were younger. And some of those people are still same shit, still hanging out. That's just their life. It's like nothing to look down on. It's just, they made different choices. And so, ultimately, if people are happy, they should be able to do whatever the fuck they want to do. Like, not everybody is meant to go work in Silicon Valley. Like, not everyone's meant to, to do certain things. And also, it's also good too, because they might not prioritize that because they want to put all that effort towards their families. So they have that life so that their kids don't have to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like those are the people that like took jobs in the factory or the sheds, and like they like their goal was like foreman or supervisor or
Yeah, absolutely. Like there's so many different ways to live, and I think the thing that people just need to remember is that if you're taking care of yourself and the people around you, it doesn't matter what your goal is. Like, we'll be fine.
Yeah.
But like, also, I think when you see those people that don't leave the block, do you see them as like, because it seems like you're not a first generation American like your father was.
So my parents, I was actually born in the Philippines, but I guess I would be considered first generation because that's sort of weird too, because my dad worked in America. Like he flew around a lot. Like when I was a kid, like he worked in the Middle East. He worked, he worked in America, and he lived in the States for a time before he brought like me and my mom over. And my sister was the first person in our family that was born in the States. She was born in Chicago, and so. Sorry, what was the original question? I was thinking about my family's trajectory.
I think kind of like what I was seeing is that like I have those friends, and like I'm first generation American, and it seems that like it's like the people that leave the block are like second, third, and fourth generation, right? Like the first generations, like I was very content all through my 20s with like a supervisor job in a call center. Like I was cool with it. Like I had made like I had insurance, like it was cool. But then it wasn't until like that job started being like a dead end, and like everything was like, well, you need a college education to get something better than that, But like that hadn't been put on us when we were young, because like our parents were always working.
I see what you're saying. Okay, I think I see what you're saying. So for me, I'm probably maybe the second generation of cousins that are in the United States. To give you guys some context, most of my mom's family is in the Philippines. They never left. Like my mom's family is the epitome of like the people that literally did not leave the block. Like there's only 3 members of that family that left, and my mom was one of them. The other one went to Germany. The other one went overseas somewhere else. And most of my dad's family is here in the United States. So and I'm one of the youngest people in my family, because my dad is like the youngest of his 14 siblings.
Oh,
so
wow. Shit.
Yeah, right. I got hella cousins. Yeah, I got some cousins that are older than my dad. I'm like, what do I call you? Like, you're not uncle, you're not grandpa. You're fucking older than my dad. You're 70.
What's up, Uncle Cousin?
My grandma she came over here from Italy, and she had 6 kids, and the oldest one was 18 when she was having her last one, and they were both pregnant at the same time. And I'm like, that's why would you do that? Right. So like my aunt and my cousin are the same age.
Like I think so. I think with regards to Jesse's question about generations, most of the older cousins, like I think our parents put it on themselves to sort of like get really good jobs and pushed all of us to get college degrees and university things, like at least the youngest generation. So there's a generation of all of us that are like so physical therapists, doctors,
nice.
Yeah, people. I'm probably on the bottom of that, because on one hand I work in tech, but I identify as a comedian. So they're just like, oh, she's poor. They're like, oh, she's poor, she gets it. So, but yeah, like there's that whole like generation of cousins before us that worked all of the they worked like blue collar jobs. They did everything they had to do. So us younger generation didn't have to do that. But that being said, there's some of us that still chose to work in places like bars and nightclubs and retail and gas stations, just so we understood, the purpose of what we were doing. Like we didn't want, like our parents never were just like, we're going to pay for everything so you guys don't have to do shit. It's like, no, you guys still have to understand what it means, what it means to earn that dollar, what it means to work. And
you don't appreciate it if you don't.
You know what I mean? Exactly. Like I valued that forced work ethic on us so hard now that I'm an adult, because now that I'm an adult raising my own son, one of the things that is unfortunate in some, not all Filipino households, is like when the kids get to college, they're just like, I don't want you to work so you could focus on your studies. Like I went to school with so many Filipino kids who didn't have jobs because their parents wanted to focus on their studies. It's like, we just spent your entire financial aid money on crack. Like, are you stupid? You know what I mean? It's just like I never really hung out with people like that, because I worked like 3 different jobs when I was going to university.
You're always out hustling. I mean, that's kind of why Nick like wanted you on, because you're always like doing hella shows. And I mean, how do you manage all that with a son? Like, how do you? Because my kids hate, like, when I go out and do comedy, they're like, you're gonna go do comedy again? Like, okay. Yeah. Like, is he just cool with it, or?
Weed helps. No, I'm kidding. Myself, I've only got one kid. And he spends half time between like, especially since we've been sheltering, like since the pandemic, he's been like alternating a month at my place and a month at his dad's place, because his dad and stepmom live in Fremont, so they're not that far away. When I used to live in Fremont, I lived across the street from them, and we hang out. So it's never a big deal for one of us to take him. And prior to COVID, I would actually take Jacob with me on road trips if I did shows in like Katati or San Rafael. Like one of my favorite places to take Jacob was Belly. Are you guys familiar with, like, the North Bay shows?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this was, I think, Kayla Keller's room. And so I would take Jacob with me to that place because every time that I knew that I was getting booked there, Kayla or Chris at the time would like hit me up and be like, what does Jake like on his pizza? And then whatever he would say, they would make a pizza for him, like right when he arrived. And so I remember one time we got there, Jacob was like, I want pork belly. And I was like, you're fucking stupid. They're not going to do that. They fucking did it. And he ate like 4 slices. I was just like, if you don't save 2 of them for Butch Escobar, we're all going to be dead. Both of them down.
Yeah, I was stop it.
I was featuring for Butch. I was like, he's got to try this shit. This shit's so good.
That's dope.
But yeah, like other than that, I mean, I think he, maybe as he gets older, he's getting to the point where he just sort of, he's 12, so I think sometimes he just wants to be left alone. So
all right, cool. So he can masturbate. Just
I can
stick
down
on
for
things.
a couple hours. Like, I'll see you when you're done. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Sure.
But I mean, I told him, I was just like, I told him just like I told my parents. I was like, I actually started comedy back in 2006. I went for about 2 years and then I quit to be a mom and just get my shit together. My kid was born in 2008. And, every time I hear anybody in my family like say anything about, comedy, I'm just like, you know what? I left for 8 years. So, I could be there for you when, I raised you and stuff like that. But, now is something that's for me. This is the one thing in my life that's 100% for me. I don't care what y'all think. This is happening, and I'll decide when it's time to quit. In the meantime, there's some books. Make yourself comfortable, and I'll be back in a couple hours.
Right.
What part of go for it, Jesse.
Nick is so mad. He's never been this quiet. Jesse,
did you have that in mind when you started comedy? You went 2 years, and then you stopped to focus on your child. Was that in the back of your head the entire time? Like, I want to get back to comedy, or was it something that when you stopped, you're like, okay, I'm done. That was my thing. Yeah. Like, how did that transition? Was it always the plan to come back?
I think I knew at some point I was going to come back. Like, so to be completely honest with you guys, when I first started, like, I felt like I was, I think compared to what I'm like now, I was a lot more like, can I say unhinged? Like, I was wild. I was the person that would buy like fucking glasses of Hennessy and drink that on stage like I was fucking Dave Chappelle or something. Yeah. I was just, I was a drunk mess. Like, I was a hot fucking mess, and it was not surprising at all, like in retrospect, that I did not get that far in my comedy career at all. Like, I'd never really progressed past, open mics and maybe a handful of shows. And the one show, actually, you guys, I think it's a pretty good story. The show that actually I did where I was just like, you know what, I don't think this is for me, I think I need to quit, was a show at San Francisco State. And this was maybe like 6 months after I had my son. To give you some perspective, like, I had a newborn at home, and Ali Wong was the headliner. And this was a show that was all for, it was like a comedy show that was showcasing like Asian female comics in the Bay or whatever. And I completely bombed my dick off. And right after that, I was just like, you know what? I think I'm cool for a minute. I don't know if I want to go back to this. So that was the last time I did comedy for a while. I went on to do sketch comedy, and I thought that I was completely done with stand-up until about several years in, we had situations where we needed like quick changes and stuff like that. And so they started having me do stand-up sets in between scenes so that people would have time to change. And I was just like, is this your way of like sneaking me back into stand-up? Because that was what was going through my mind. I was like, no fucking way. And at some point, like after my marriage fell apart, I was just like, you know what? It's time.
It's time. There's been enough tragedy. It's time.
Yeah. I was just like, you know what? It's time. Like, I need something to do at night. So that's what happened. And then I came back, and I noticed it was easier when I came back because my objectives were different. And plus, like, me professionally, I was also a different person. Like, Ivy at 30 something is different from Ivy at 26. Like, when I was doing this shit, like, it was, you're more disciplined in different ways. Ideally, when you get older, ideally, best case scenario.
Ideally.
It doesn't always work out that way, but yeah.
Oh, exactly.
Exactly.
So speaking of improv, you studied with the Upright Citizens Brigade, right? That's where
I did. I spent a summer, and forgive me, my ring light just went out, so I just want to make sure I have enough light for you guys.
You look fine.
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
I like how
Very
you have a
awesome.
ring light. That's so fucking professional. Jesus.
And so UCB, that was a fun thing because I was in LA one summer for work, and this is a summer that I was down in LA just, you know, I was putting a team together for like my regular day job, and I was just like, well, I've got my nights free, so since I'm here, you know, rather than I thought I would give improv a shot. And also the cool thing about UCB too is just like even if you don't join a house team, you know, there's also the opportunities for like networking. So a lot of my classmates from UCB, like the first class that we did together, we stayed in touch, and then we would like throw like opportunities at each other. Like if somebody was just like, hey, my friend's running this new mic, do you want to like come by and grab a set when you're in town, and things like that. Like those were my first network of people when I first started doing comedy in LA, because before I decided to jump back into the Bay Area, like mic scene and all that kind of stuff, I actually did that in LA first, because I wasn't ready to do it in SF. Like I knew that the majority of the people that were around during my time were mostly either quit comedy or they moved like way the fuck up.
They were super good, yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I think probably the one person that remembered me, and I didn't expect him to remember me considering how many people he's seen, was Tony Sparks. Have you guys ever met him?
Yeah, I love Tony.
He's fucking wonderful. So like,
he's amazing.
I'll get back to UCB in a minute, but like I went to an anniversary of the Brainwash Cafe, which fun fact, yeah. I announced my pregnancy there. I hadn't told my family, so like I was just like, well, I'm gonna tell these strangers and see what happens. I kept the baby, by the way, which Jake. So
shout out.
Just so you guys know. But yeah, like I went to their anniversary. I didn't know anybody that was performing. I didn't know any of the other comics. I mean, I do now, but like I didn't know who they were. So I just sat in the audience and didn't say anything to anybody. And like literally like a second later, Tony Sparks walked in, put a cupcake next to me, gave me a hug, and said, "Welcome back home." And I was like, "Oh my god!"
Aww.
Right? So I was just like, I was crying on BART on the way home. I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna get this comedy thing started again. So that was fun. And yeah, UCB was really fun. It was a good experience. And a lot of the people I met there I'm still in touch with. Like some of them are doing different things now. Some of them have actually gone on to join the house teams. Like I knew it wasn't going to be a possibility for me because I'm from NorCal, and I just didn't really have any immediate plans to move down to LA anytime soon. But it was a fantastic way to spend a summer. I would do it again.
So you're a triple threat. You've done comedy, improv, and sketch.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I feel like I don't know if I'm a triple threat. Like I feel like I'm somebody that's tried it all, and I think stand-up is all fun. But thank you.
Well, I did improv too, and like towards the end, I was just like, I'm not a team player. I want to be up here by myself.
Yeah,
which is funny because now you do that improv telenovela thing.
What?
Yeah. I still, but I only host, and then I round it up like all the best improvisers in town. That I think, and well, okay. So the real reason I did telenovela was so that I could host something. So I was like, if I could just create my own show, I'll host it. So that really put my brain to work. Is like, what could I do? And I honestly love improv, and I sincerely love all the people that are in telenovela. But I was like, I could leverage these people that I already know who are great improvisers, and I could create this show and I could host it, and that would be my hosting gig. Because like I was like, 8 months in, nobody's gonna give me a shot to host my own show, you know?
Fuck no, they're gonna erase your name on the board and put you lower.
Oh my gosh! See, you brought it up this time.
That's right.
Tell her.
Yeah, tell her how you guys met.
So the first night, I guess Jesse was doing comedy. He went to On the Y in Sacramento.
Yeah.
And me, Milani, my friend Steven and I were there. And I was like, I don't know who the fuck these two people are. And I erased their names and I put them on like 17, 18. He was on like number 5. And I put my name and Steven's name. And my friend Steven like ratted us out and was like, Danny, you can't do that. And I was like, oh my gosh, shut up. Be quiet. We don't know him. And like,
we don't know him.
And then like, Jesse like went up to like the host and was like, so you know, I was like number 5 and now I'm like 18, and I was like, oh damn it. So he didn't like me for a minute, but he loves me now. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah, that's what she did. And I didn't go up to the host. I just thought, oh well, like that's how it goes. Like I'm new, so they're just gonna move me to the end.
That
so
was wrong of me.
I'll just have to wait, you know.
Yeah.
I'm glad
So-
you explained it out.
And then Danny's friend Steven, came and I don't even remember who it was.
Yeah, that's the last time I committed crime with him.
And then they're like, you can go up next, and then they let me go next.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Are you? I was going to ask, are you still associated with Upright Citizens Brigade? Because you're on their website.
I am. It's been a minute. You know, honestly, I haven't been back in a minute. Like there's a show that I actually met a comic from Sacramento, JR. You guys know him. Yeah. Such a nice guy. Such a nice guy. So he he introduced me to the showrunners for that show. And so I intended to actually go down to the inner sanctum and actually introduce myself so they could put a face to a name and stuff like that. But I just it never happened, and COVID kind of struck, and so it kind of cock-blocked all of our chances for external networking. But at some point I would like to go back and do that show and just work with more of those folks, because one of the things that I've never really had a chance to do is to work with actually no, that's not true, because my theater in San Francisco that I came from before I became a stand-up kid was predominantly like Filipino. But like I've always wanted to work also with more Filipino like improvisers and folks like that, because the majority of the people in my when I first took UCB, the majority of the people in my classes were white. I was like one of 2 people of color. So to just know that there's like that whole community that that I could introduce myself and like work with, just knowing that they exist is like pretty amazing. So at some point I'd like to go back and like get reacquainted with sketch and improv. I'm still on their website. That's a trip. I knew I had a site from when I was taking the classes. I didn't know if it was still up. That's awesome.
Yeah, you're on there. That's why I was like, oh, maybe she's still a teacher. I don't know.
That would be amazing at some point. When I was in, I spent 2 semesters in grad school, and I petered out because, well, at the time I was like 37. I was like, I'm fucking tired. But one of the things that I wanted to do, I was in a program for social work, because I knew that UCB had an on-site licensed clinical social worker to address like mental health issues, because that's pretty common. And you guys know this too, as performers, as artists. A lot of folks suffer with, they struggle with like anxiety and mental health issues. And just knowing that this school cared enough about their students to have somebody like that on site,
comics aren't perfect like me. They have problems, like mental problems,
right? Like they're alcoholics.
What?
They
do drugs?
I think anybody who goes up on any stage and says, "Look at only me right now," we're suffering with some kind.
I love the rejection so much. That's why I do it. If I can't get a man to reject me, I'll sure get a crowd too.
Oh my God. That was sort of like the goal that I had, was just to sort of, I wanted to be like in social work, just specifically so I could address stuff that that artists were going through, because so many people I think struggle with this, and they respond, of course, by self-medicating, which is a really like vicious cycle. And so I understood that was really important work, and then about 2 semesters in, I was like, you know what, I'm fucking tired. Maybe somebody else could do that work.
So you have a psych degree?
I have a psych degree, psychology and social action specifically. And then I spent 2 semesters at slugging my way through USC, and I was just like, I can't do this. I'm tired. So it's still on the table. I mean, I haven't ruled out going back, especially since now classes are like online, and we don't know if like live comedy as we all used to know it is coming back for the foreseeable future. So it'd be good to have something different to do at night. But it's just that's what I was doing. I think probably up until, I want to say last year and a half. Like there was a point where I had so much on my plate. It was just my day job, comedy. I was teaching sex ed on the weekends. I was in graduate school, and people are just like, when do you sleep? And I'm like, huh? You know, so something's gotta change. And ultimately, I quit everything except comedy and my day job because, you know, at the end of the day, like my son's getting to the age where maybe he needs me to be at his track meets, for example, or, you know, he's a band geek, so he does that fun stuff, and, you know, somebody's got to.
Hey, band geeks are like super cool now. It's cool
They
to
are.
be a nerd.
Like,
It's way cool to be a nerd.
What is
Yeah,
it?
21st Jump Street told us all about it now. It's cool to be a nerd.
I say that with a lot of affection because I was a huge nerd in high school. Like with my kid, like I don't know what to do because he actually, you know, he has activities, he has friends, he's like outgoing, he talks to people, and I was not like that at all when I was his age. I am still pretty fucking awkward, and you know, I always just disguised it by humor. And you know, my son is just so different like that. And I just watch him. I was like, you are actually cool. Like, I don't know what to do with it. I was like, are you sure you're my kid? Like, nobody in my family's this cool. So
like my daughter's like, you're just so cool. And I'm like, I'm not cool. I wasn't cool in high school. And she's like, yeah, I think you were. And I'm like, no, I wasn't cool. Like, I'm just cool now, I guess. I don't know.
yeah. You
Like
know,
we were at the river the other day and these 20, they were probably 19, 20-year-olds boys came up to us, and I'm at the river with my daughter, and they're like, what's up, mama, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm with my kid, can you not flirt with me, please? And she's like, Jesus, mom, like, and I'm like, I didn't do anything, I didn't do it. She's like, those boys were my age, and I'm like, I'm sorry they weren't talking to you, like, it's
Are you sure?
awkward.
Are you sure they weren't flirting with her and you just kind of like side busted, like, oh, me?
No, they came directly up to me.
No,
Like, they just, like, kind of put her to the side and was like, what's up, mama? I was like, with my kids today, you guys, don't talk to me.
I'm sorry I got game, bro. I'm sorry I got game. I called it. Which is so weird because the way I described myself in high school is, do you guys remember that movie called The Craft?
yes.
I always say that if they had an Asian character that didn't really talk and just did all their I feel like that would be me when I was like, those are the kinds of people I gravitated towards when I was in high school. Like I had a phase, I think, where like maybe 2.5, like maybe freshman, sophomore year, it was just like me trying to make goth kids like me. Like, holy shit, like who does that, right? But that's what I was like when I was younger.
I saw on your Facebook somebody posted a pic of you, I think at like 19 or 20, and you had like black hair, first of all. You had a lip ring, and then I think you also had a nose ring as well.
I still have a nose ring.
Oh, no, this was a hoop. This was like a straight.
Oh, yeah. No, so that was when I was working at the Exploratorium. Like, the guy that posted that, we both had really tough jobs. Like, he worked for the chief of staff, and I worked for the PR director. And so we were basically like office bitches for a year together. But it was really rewarding. Have you guys heard of the Exploratorium Museum in San Francisco?
Yeah,
Yeah. That's where we worked, and so we stayed in touch pretty much. And that was like back in 2005. Like this is like a really long time ago. And when he posted that picture on my Facebook, I was like, where the fuck? I was like, I feel like I look younger now than I did in that picture. Like. I looked at it, I was just like, Jesus Christ, like who the fuck let me dress myself? Like this is bullshit. This is why I feel like kids now have an unfair advantage because they get to go on YouTube, they get to go on Instagram, they have all these tutorials of how to look cute. I was like, y'all never had an awkward phase? Fuck you. Like this is like I feel like I just now got out of an awkward phase.
They have filters and everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, fuck.
It's like fuck you guys, we didn't have shit. Friendster didn't have this. I'm hating.
Fucking Friendster, Jesus.
Oh, man.
Craigslist didn't show me how to put on makeup. Jesus.
Right? It was like there was no tutorial for how to be hot. What the fuck?
So speaking, you mentioned, getting back to comedy. One thing I saw is that you are on a Zoom show basically every fucking night, it seems. And we've had comedians come on. Some are completely opposed to doing Zoom shows. Some really love it. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Okay, sure. So, I mean, I get this a lot. Like, I was telling somebody that has been doing like outdoor open mics. I was like, look, no comic in their right mind actually enjoys Zoom comedy, nor do we view it as a real substitute for live comedy, because we fucking know that this is no substitute. You can't be on a Zoom and be like trying to do crowd work, like make some noise.
God, it's so hard.
It's just so weird, and it's weird. And I feel too for people whose their main thing is like actually doing crowd work. You know, I imagine that something like this is challenging for them. For me, at its worst, it's like being on a call with your coworkers that they may or may not laugh. Either way, you don't care. You're gonna get paid. And at its best, it's like a solid hang with comics that you miss. You might actually hang out in real life with. And also, I viewed it personally as an awesome way to network with other comics that are from other parts of the world, for whom performing together might in real life require more logistics than just jumping on a computer. You know what I mean? So it's not perfect. It's not ideal. None of us really want to do it. We would all do regular comedy if we had the chance. But given that this is the safest way to do it, and the fact that being outdoors and all that stuff now, it's no longer a matter of like trying to get comedy done. Now it's become like a public safety issue. The best way to just circumvent all that is to just do it at fucking home. You know what I mean? So that's how I see it. Like, I see it as I am doing my part to keep other people safe while also being completely self-serving and networking with other people. That's actually how I got some of the shows that I got on, because some of the people I've been working with for the last couple of months have been based in like LA and New York. And, for me to do those shows IRL would require a little bit of, planning and logistics, money for sure. So this has been a way, I think, for people to just sort of like check out other comics that they may have wanted to work with. And, the way I see it is, if they think that I'm reliable on Zoom, they might extend that opportunity to me in real life when the world stops burning. And, it's not a bad thing at all.
Oh, in real life. I was wondering what the fuck IRL meant.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah,
I assumed everybody was a nerd.
I was gonna tease Nick and tell him what in real life meant, but I was like, that's kind of mean.
I didn't see his face. I didn't know he was pondering that. I just thought he was just pondering.
Well, no, I was trying to
struggling with
listen. I was being, intently listening. I was doing active listening skills. Like, yes.
He doesn't listen to women very well.
No, in my head, I'm like, IRL, what the fuck? And then
I was like, am I boring you?
Well, all right, maybe you can help me out since you're cool with the acronyms. Everybody else but me, apparently. What does TLDR? What is that?
Too long, didn't read. It's from Reddit.
Oh,
Son of a bitch.
Damn.
I literally, wow. It's from Reddit?
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah. You're always on Reddit, Nick. You should know that.
I love Reddit. My God.
Well, Nick reads it all, though.
Yeah, that's true.
No, I've just been on, Ivy, do you know Reddit Roast Me?
No.
Oh my God, it's great. So basically these people just take pictures of themselves and it says roast me, and you can just be as vicious as you want.
Oh, that's so nice.
Oh, it's great. I told one chick she looks like she knows where to cut so no one can see.
Oh, that's so mean.
That's fucking good.
Oh.
Yeah, she posted her picture, I guess.
Yeah, no, I've been on those really weird like Reddits like that are just so like horrible stories. Like I forgot the names of some of them, but they were just really bad. Like I think they had a whole the filthy underbelly of Reddit. Like that's really gross stuff, and autopsy reports.
That's
like,
a deep rabbit hole.
Yeah, dude, it's crazy. And then sometimes I have to do like a palate cleanser by switching gears and just looking at cats. Like Reddit has something for everybody. I'm so good. I always wonder if my son has discovered Reddit yet. I don't think he has, but like I'm always like I look through his phone like when he's showering. I'm just like, is there anything on here that I should be concerned about? Okay, no, cool. Just.
Yeah. But then Snapchat, you can't fucking check it.
Yeah. I told him, I was just like, if you send your dick somewhere and somebody laughs at you, you can't come back from that.
Okay, so someone sent me a dick pic on Monday. He sent me a dick pic on Monday through my Snapchat, and I screenshotted it, right? And he's like, why'd you screenshot it? And I was like, well, because later on I'm going to look at it with my best friend, and we're going to review it. Thank you for submitting your application. Like, I'll let you know. And then he was just like, what? And I was like, yeah. I was like, I don't want to just see it once. I got to talk to my friend about it. Like, we got to review this dick pic, you idiot. Don't send me that. Don't send it to me. Like, don't send me that.
Every guy should just assume that dick pic is going to see many, many eyes.
Oh yeah, I already saw like 6.
Yeah, like I save the dick pictures too. So that's usually how like political people or people that are just like, can I get your vote? And I usually respond with a dick picture. Like, no, leave me alone. Go away.
Somebody else's dick. He was so offended though. He's like, why'd you screenshot it? I'm like, don't send it on Snapchat, idiot. I didn't know that it said that it screenshotted it, but whatever. Like, I'm gonna review it later. It looks okay. So right now.
Like, has it not occurred to anybody that they would actually screenshot a dick? Like,
I mean,
people
he didn't like my response, so whatever.
Well, now there's a trend on Twitter. Any chick that gets a dick pic, they post it to Twitter.
Oh.
There's some hideous ones. Oh my god!
Yeah,
One
why
looked
are
like
you
an
sending
underwater sea creature. It was gross.
Yeah, why are you sending that? Don't send it.
Well, he sent it flaccid. What guy in their right mind sends a flaccid dick pic?
I get some, and I'm like, what are you trying to do here?
No.
The
I don't
worst
do that.
is when they have like
A ruler next to it?
just the angles are wrong. I'm like, I don't want to see your feet. Like, I don't want to. No, like, clean up those toys. Like, are you pulling out your dick in a daycare? Like, no, pull that shit. Like, are you in your child's room? Like, put that shit away. Like, that's really disgusting. I had one person that actually sent me a dick picture against the Salesforce tower, and I'm just like, okay, first of all, are you in my work building right now? Because I have the same exact view. And it's also like really great that they would use the Salesforce Tower in San Francisco, which looks looks like the biggest butt plug on the face of the earth, to use that as sort of like a background to your fucking dick. It's like, that's brave, bro. Like, that's some balls.
Yeah.
So you talked about something before we were recording, and I want to get back to it. You said that you actually prefer doing Sacramento and Santa Cruz rooms. And I'm wondering why that is.
So, like, I think it's really the audience. Like, San Francisco, you know, I think there's specific audiences, I think, for specific types of comedy. And I'm pretty consistent in that, like, the same jokes I tell in Sac will usually go over well in San Francisco, and, you know, vice versa. Like, consistency, you know what I mean? Especially when you work at, you know, clubs and you have, like, larger audiences. Like, we're talking, like, Cobb's, their bottom floor and their top floor is like filled up, you know, stuff like that I always enjoy. But when I like the reason I really like doing shows in Sacramento and Santa Cruz is because I feel like those audiences are, maybe some of them are less sensitive.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're less sensitive, more appreciative of the fact that somebody actually wants to come tell jokes. And also, you know, I feel, I don't want to say I blame gentrification, but I feel like the majority of the people that are in San Francisco are not people that are originally from San Francisco. You know what I mean? I feel like the vibe.
But yeah. San Francisco doesn't want original people living there. They're making it impossible.
You know, it's changed so much, like, over the years from when I was younger. Like, my parents recently went to go visit me and my sister because we both work in tech, and we both work about 2 blocks from each other, like major tech companies. And my dad was like walking down 2nd Street, and he was just like, we didn't used to be able to walk down the street. Like, this artisanal coffee shop, you know, it used to be like one of those check cashing places. So SF has changed so much, and just, you know, as it's changed, so has the demographics of the people that come there. But I always enjoy taking the trip to Sac and to Santa Cruz, because those crowds are fun. And also, you know, I think what it is for me too is just, I also really like working with the comics that are in both those areas. You know, like, I think the problem that some San Francisco comics face is that they've only performed within San Francisco, so they don't know anything outside of that. And for me personally, like, I've always tried to make it my business to network with comedians that are outside of that area. That way, if I decide to travel out of town or get a gig, you know, I feel like the more people get to see me and the more people I get to work with, that it's just mutually beneficial for both of us, because then we both expand our networks and things like that. And I've found that I've also had the most friendly receptions from people in Sac and Santa Cruz.
You'd fit right in here. I so wish you were like a Sac female, like, comic. I wish you were here all the time. Like, you're fucking dope. You're my favorite Bay Area female.
Thank you. Like, I just, even places like Slow, or places that not a lot of people think would they wouldn't associate it with comedy necessarily. You know, like, all those places, I really, like, I try to not necessarily make my presence known, but, you know, given that there's so much talent that's in those areas, like Modesto, Stockton, Slow, even Bakersfield, like, the people that, like the kind of comedy that comes out there, which is, I know you talked about "We Own the Laughs" in the tagline for my photo, because that was based out of, like, Bakersfield. And, you know, not a lot of people are like, they don't think Bakersfield comedy, really, but, you know, maybe now they do. And that's always a positive thing. Like I want people to know that there's more to comedy than just like SF, LA, and New York. I mean, those are the main three I think that people go to when they want to like move up, especially like industry wise. But the fact is, real good comedy exists in all pockets of California, and more people should know that.
And I'll say it. I'll blame gentrification. Fuck it. I'm the only white guy on this podcast. I'll say it. Yeah, we fucking ruined San Francisco.
It's so different. It's so fucking different. And I've worked in San Francisco for maybe 8 years. And the 8 years that I've worked in San Francisco, it's changed so much from when I first worked in San Francisco, which was like 2005, 2006, because I was working at the Exploratorium, and I also worked at like nightclubs and bars and things like that. I mean, that's how I made like side money when that was like my side hustle when I was in college. So, to see San Francisco in around 2005 and then to see what it looks like now is just two different things. Absolutely.
Do you think that post-COVID and the whole working from home is going to change San Francisco in the next 5 or 6 years? That tech is going to, because like Twitter and Facebook are already saying that people don't have to go back into work in the office. So like all those people are bugging out of San Francisco. Where do you see that doing to it?
I honestly don't know. I mean, I think that now that more people are empowered, or more companies are empowered to allow people to work from home, I imagine that the first effects it would have would be on the property values. And I see that like rent prices have gone down in San Francisco for sure in the last like few months. I don't know how it's going to affect the other industries, because there's so many industries that are sort of like non-existent now. Like there's like coffee shops aren't happening, bars aren't happening, and that was like the livelihood of a lot of other comics that were based out of San Francisco, like which is like scary and intimidating, because that was like literally their side hustle beside comedy, and now those things are shut down. So
yeah.
I honestly don't know what's going to happen. It sucks. Like I'm probably not even going to go back to the office through 2021. And it's crazy. Like the fact that, I mean, I'm lucky that I even have something, but just the way the landscape, it's like literally going from, top of the world, like San Francisco had everything, and now it's like back to nothing. I think if people are really resilient, they'll stick around and like work with it. But I think there's people that are just as eager to like move out and like leave, and those are the people that were usually they weren't from the city to begin with.
Yeah, like what you said, they weren't originally from San Francisco. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Danny unfortunately has to go. She has a Zoom comedy show, so plug your stuff before you leave, Danny.
Get it, girl.
All right, I'm closing out a Tulsa, Oklahoma comedy show. So, anyways, you can find me at Rad Chick Forever on Instagram, Cash App, Venmo, Facebook. Wherever you want to find me. Ivy, Cordova, I love you. You're one of my favorites. I know we don't know each other well, but maybe that will change soon.
You're amazing, and that will change. We'll keep in touch.
Bye, Jesse. Thank you. Bye, Nick.
Later. So you brought it up. We Own the Laughs on Amazon Prime. Now, I saw a couple clips. Is that recorded just in a random, like sound studio?
Yeah. So it was a weird but good experience, because Tyson, the guy that runs We Own the Laughs, he's a friend. He's become a really good friend over the last few years. Because We Own the Laughs used to be like this it used to be in this little Mexican restaurant in Bakersfield, and then he somehow managed to take that place, or take that show, and he took it like to all the main comedy clubs like up and down the state of California. And I've been on almost every single one of those shows. And so when he decided to shoot it into a series, I thought it was going to be like at a comedy club. I wasn't sure. It was a sound studio. And the problem with that was that we shot everything, like I think, was it 12 episodes? It was 12 episodes. And we shot those over the course of one day. And the problem with that is, one, it was fucking hot. It was so fucking hot in Bakersfield that it was ridiculous. It was like August of last year. It was when we taped it. And the problem with the live audience and people leaving was that by the time my episode rolled around, which is like episode 10, there was probably like 12 people left in the audience. So that was a strange experience. But that being said, like, it was also great, like bonding with all the comics that I worked with on that show. I'm pretty sure me and Corday Snell were the only two NorCal comics, because everybody else was like based out of LA. And so the majority of the people on that show as well were female comics that are based in LA. So now, you know, we're all still in touch. Like us girls all have a group chat of our own. It's really fantastic. And, you know, I think Tyson did a really good job with with the production and like the film and all that kind of stuff. It's just, I think the one thing that was like just uncontrollable was just the lack of people. And, you know, maybe he'll know better for like season 2. But
yeah, I did think it was funny that the host, the one clip I saw was the host was talking about how they're going to shoot two different episodes, but he didn't bring a change of clothes.
Wait, sorry, what?
He was talking about how he has to host, and then he was like, "Oh, but I didn't know we were doing 2 episodes, so people are just going to think I wear the same thing every fucking day."
That's fucking funny. Yeah, like that show was an interesting experience for me, because so earlier, this is like August of last year, like the beginning of August, I went through a breakup and I quit all my shows for that entire month just to sort of, you know, get my head straight. You know, most people need that recovery time. And the one thing that I didn't quit was the taping for that show. So basically I was doing that show after having not done comedy for about almost 3 weeks. So I went into that sort of cold. And yeah, like that being said, that thing really like jerked me back into comedy in a way that I just didn't expect. I was just like, I remember like I took a bus down there, and then on the way back I drove up with another comic, and we're just talking about what the experience was like for us. And I was like, you know what, this is fucking fantastic. Like I got 3 weeks of my life to make up for. Like this is great.
So we're gonna end in just a little bit, but before we do, I do want to talk about your crazy woke Asians.
That was a fun experience. Like, so they're a show, like, had you heard of the show before you guys knew that I had done it?
I heard about it once, but then I didn't realize how many shows it actually had.
Yeah, they had a ton of shows. So I was aware that they had shows. I think they had a Thursday show at the Comedy Store. They just had a bunch of shows at like different places, and I had worked with a couple of those comics at different points on different shows, because I worked in LA. I've been working in LA pretty consistently, aside from COVID, for the last about 3 years. So I have a pretty cool network of folks down there. But for some reason, like I had never, even though I'd worked with some of those comics before, I had never been asked to participate. Like I think I submitted something like back in 2018, and you know, I think I got like a standard, we'll give you a call if we have anything. And, you know, I just sort of forgot about it. And then they hit me up to do this virtual festival, which was really fun. I think there was maybe 2 other NorCal comics on there. And they put me on the Saturday night show, which was like really fucking fantastic. And, you know, I thought it was a fun experience. I didn't really expect a lot, because, you know, there's a ton of like Filipino comics and female comics for them to choose from. So I was like, you know what? I had a great time. You know, I should be happy that I had that one opportunity. I didn't expect them to hit me back up to be part of their Black Lives Matters, their Asians for Black Lives show, which was a huge deal. I was like, that is such an honor. And I got to work with people that I'd been watching for a long time, like Punky Johnson, such a fantastic, like phenomenal comic. Like I was in awe to even be included. I was just like, oh, shit. Like, I remember the first time I got the flyer in my email, I was looking at it, I was like, I am the shittiest comic on this lineup. Like, this is, like, holy shit! So, that's how I felt. And, I've just, like, again, I feel like this may have either taken longer had we not been in COVID, because, you know, maybe they would have, like, found me, like, a little later. But the fact that they were able to find me during this time and to have me participate was, you know, I was just really juiced to just be there. And, you know, maybe since I've consistently worked with them for, you know, those pretty good high profile shows, you know, I'm hoping that when the world stops burning, I'll actually get to come to LA and, you know, hang out and high five and hug everybody in person.
All right. Jesse, do you have anything you want to ask before we go?
No. Thanks for letting me co-host. I have always thought that Ivy is such a badass, and a lot like right before COVID hit, we had messaged. Remember? I don't know if you remember, but I messaged you, and we are gonna try to work out like a live recording at high water. But then all of that just kind of fell apart.
Was this for your podcast that you have with Nicole?
Yeah, no. That's that's my other podcast.
You have so many fucking. You're all over the place. You're like a badass podcaster.
That was for my. No, I was I wanted to get you on my Comic Talk podcast, and so anyway, like I started it back up like about 4 weeks ago, and I've been figuring out that Nick was an inspiration to get me back going because they never stopped. They're on YouTube. They're doing it via Zoom. I've been watching how he's been doing it. So I got mine back up off the ground a couple of weeks ago, and I'd been wanting to message you, like it's been in the back of my head to message you, and then I saw that Nick and them posted like the other day with I was like, damn them, they beat me. And then when Danny messaged me today, she's like, do you want to co-host tonight? And I was like, oh yes. So yeah, but that's all I wanted to add. That I highly admire you. I think you're such a badass. And you're a great role model, and keep doing what you do.
I appreciate you guys. Nick, did I really I'm so sorry. I just realized, did I like completely dominate the entire conversation? I feel like you've been quieter than I expected you to be.
No.
Okay.
No, we love when you guys do that. Believe me.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, there's been
talking too much.
There's been some interviews where I'll be like, so you were on this, and they're like, yeah, I was.
Yeah.
And like that's it, and I'm like, do you want to elaborate a little bit? So no, this is great, but we are not done yet. We do have this famous thing we do called Inside the Comics Studio.
Woo!
But before we get to that, Ivy, plug social media, plug any shows you got coming up. This will be out on YouTube on Saturday.
Amazing. So what I think I'm doing Comedy Oakland on Friday night. That's at 7 p.m. Go to comedyoakland.com for the Zoom information. That's a fun show. I think aside from that, I don't think I have a ton coming up, but you can always check my Instagram, which is Aivy Cordova, AIVY CORDOVA. I have that, like Aivy Cordova on Instagram, on Twitter, my Facebook page, which is Aivy Cordova Comedy. Those are all my social medias, and yeah, that's Instagram is probably where I'm the most active as far as like putting shows that I'm on. And so any work that I get, I'll throw it up there. And if there's like if it involves like tickets or like codes or anything, and you're having trouble financially, just shoot me a DM.
By the way, I love your Twitter name, Queefer Sutherland. It's fucking great.
You know what? Can I talk about that for just 1 second? Like,
yeah.
So my son's barber, who was an aspiring comic, he passed away last summer in a motorcycle accident. Rest in power, Ray Green, my buddy. And he, his family was very close with MC Hammer. Like, I didn't realize that MC Hammer and his uncle Stan were the same two people. I didn't figure this out until like the eulogy. I was like, oh shit, your uncle Stanley. I was like, duh, Stanley, right? And so fast forward to like, I think a couple weeks ago, I went to the 1-year vigil of my friend Ray. They were shooting a music video. I got there a little late because I got there with my son. And I talked to the videographer, and he told me when the video was going to premiere. So when it premiered, I think I tweeted about it. And MC Hammer retweeted me with the video. And I'm just like, I wish I had changed my name from Queefer Sutherland before MC Hammer fucking retweeted me. But what's done is done. Queefer Sutherland's an awesome name. That should be my that's already somebody's roller derby name. I just thought it was the tightest, like fucking, I love it. I love words.
So do you know Anthony Burrell then?
I know who he is. I've never actually seen his comedy. I wonder if he's brothers or cousins with the guy that actually put on the video. I don't know that guy's real name. I think he goes by Booby or Bobby Hammer or Booby Hammer. That was the guy whose name was on the video. That was like the sort of the one that was like commemorating my friend's life. But yeah, like is Anthony, is he a does he work like in clubs, or is he like more open mics, or what does he do?
Well, no, he is a comedian. He does a lot of stuff with Jerry Law, but you just mentioned that you knew Anthony is MC Hammer's nephew.
Okay. Yeah. Like it's funny. Like Ray, like I knew he didn't want to necessarily like come up using, saying, hey, he's my uncle, whatever. So he tried to enter comedy like on his own terms. And, at the time that he passed, he'd been working with like Jerry as well. He had some stuff with Kabir because I think they went to school together and things like that. And, but, I don't think he ever had Anthony on any show that I was on. So, that's kind of interesting. But when I saw that Anthony Burrell was a comedian based out of SAC, I figured one of you guys was going to know him.
Yeah, we had him on a couple episodes ago.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jerry Law. Like I think the last time I worked with him was also on a We Own the Laughs show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right? It's a small fucking world.
Yeah,
like,
it's fucking A.
It all comes around.
Yeah, dude, this is why people should always be nice to people because you don't know who the fuck you're gonna cross paths with. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, Jesse, plug what you got going on.
I got Comic Talk, the podcast is up on YouTube now, on all the streaming platforms. Telenovela is working on doing some streaming stuff. We should be out really soon with the new streaming episode. I did like a guest appearance in a sketch for Love Horrors, and that's going to be coming out I think in a couple of weeks. All that stuff is on my Instagram. I'll post it on my Instagram. The real Jesse Rivera. I thought I had fun with it, and yeah, that's about it. Nicole and I are working on a way to bring our podcast back. I think we're gonna do a couple episodes of The Twilight Zone on our podcast, which is the podcast is coming from inside the house, and that's really all I got going on right now.
How is Nicole? She doing better?
She's doing great. Yeah, I was texting with her the other day. I try to check in on her at least once a week. Just say, hey, what's going on, man? How are you? And we're going to get together virtually on a Saturday morning and watch a couple episodes of the Twilight Zone.
Awesome.
So I'm looking forward to coffee in the Twilight Zone with Nicole on Saturday morning.
Tell her I said hi.
I will definitely drop your name. Yeah.
All right, and then just follow me on Twitter at @TheBigNickJ. Okay, Inside the Comic Studio is brought to you by Seattle Gummy Company. When you need to be alert and focus fast, Mocha Shots high-energy gummies work 5 times faster than coffee and at half the price. Combination of active ingredients that improves focus, enhances cognitive performance, and reduces the jittery side effects of caffeine. So basically, you can get shit done. Vitamin B complex boosts performance. It's convenient. Only 5 grams of sugar. Use promo code GAG15, and you'll save 15% off your entire order. Okay. So have you listened to the podcast before, Ivy?
I've watched the episodes that you have on the like the clips on Instagram.
Sounds like a no to me, Nick. I said, sounds like a no to me, Nick.
Yeah, like I haven't watched it in like full, but I've watched the clips just so I can prepare myself for what you guys are going to ask me.
All right. Well, since you didn't listen to a full episode, one thing we do is we ask all comics that come on the same 5 questions. So, first question, first joke that landed well.
Ooh.
It was a joke about my kid.
How old was your kid at the time?
He was a baby. He was. Wait. Are you talking about like a recent joke or like the first joke that I ever told?
The first joke that landed well, like that got the whole room applauding, whole room cackling.
Oh my God, that is a tough one. It was a joke about my ex-boyfriend's O-face. Yeah, this is like 2006, so like clearly my threshold for material was a little lower back then. But yeah, that's what made the audience laugh. I gotta own it.
All right. Favorite thing about your local comedy scene?
I think my local comedy scene is it's challenging but so rewarding.
Now, the opposite of that, what's one thing you dislike or would like to see changed in your local scene?
I hate how some people don't get along. Like there's like groups that consider half of the people in comedy to be snobs, And then there's also groups that consider half of comedy to just have no hope and never be booked. And it's just like, have you guys ever actually had a conversation with one another? I hate that shit. So generally I try to stay out of it, but like, of course it's going to come across me every so often, and I just have to hope that nobody thinks I'm a terrible person.
Now, this isn't part of the questions, but I'm curious. Do you guys feel you have cliques down there? Like up here in SAC for a while there was this like divide from SAC Comedy Spot and like Blacktop Crew. And like there were two different cliques.
There's a ton of cliques. There's a ton of cliques in the Bay Area for sure.
Like, oh, they perform at Cobb's. Fuck them.
Yeah, like, oh, they're a snob. Like, you don't know who my name is. It's like, bitch, I try to make it my business to know who people are, just like regardless of where they are in their comedy career, because you never know. Like, people could be like at a club one day and then talk to somebody and treat them like an asshole, and then 8 years later that same person is doing a show with them and they're just like, oh, so how long have you been doing comedy? Like, bitch, you were a bitch to me in 2007. Suck my dick. Like, yeah, that's happened to me a few times.
Yeah. You're like, I remember when you erased my name.
I'm just like, nah, you were such a cunt to me. Like, go away.
All right. Next question. Favorite local comedian?
Chelsea Bierce.
Bam,
My
she didn't
fucking,
even-
just
she
no
didn't even
hesitation.
hesitate.
That's my girl. That's my fucking girl. Like, great person, great comic. I cannot do what she does. She fucking just destroys an entire room. And it's like mostly crowd work too. I think literally I've only ever heard her do like maybe 10 minutes of material. The rest of the time she's just working that entire room, and she's so fucking phenomenal. And she's a badass. She's, got a mom, got a kid, makes some fucking cakes. Like, what's not to like?
All right. Lastly, advice to new comedians.
Don't drink or smoke or get high, and don't fuck or get involved with anybody in your first year. Like, if you want to be serious about this, focus on you, and don't also, this is like a lot of advice. Don't ever view comedy as an extension of your personal life. Have your own personal life, have your own close personal friends, because, it's cool to be friendly with everybody, but not everybody in this fucking scene gives a fuck about you, and you need to know this.
Word.
That's the first time I heard that. That's actually good advice. By the way, don't get involved, don't fuck anybody. That sounds like what they told me at rehab. They're like, for your first year, you don't want to make any major changes.
Right? Like, I don't make any changes to your life. Don't fuck somebody that read their credits before you fuck them. That's all I gotta say. I mean, if you're gonna disregard my advice and fuck somebody, at least let them be like a headliner somewhere. You know what I mean?
Get a show out of it.
Yeah, you want to fuck up, not down. I got you.
Exactly. You want to fuck up. You don't want to fuck somebody whose credits are standing on a corner with like an amp and a mic.
Yeah.
Next to the guy that's holding a John 3:16 sign saying that we're all going to hell. Like, your pussy should have some standards.
Word.
Yeah, you hear that, ladies? Pussy should have some standards.
Pussy standards.
Pussy standards.
All right, Ivy, thank you for coming on. Jesse, thank you for stepping in and doing a bang-up job as co-host. This was a great episode.
Fucking amazing.
It was, guys.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much, guys.
Yeah.
All right, take it easy. Stay safe.
You too. Hit me
Peace.
up anytime.
Late.
Take care.